This week on Dumb Pitches, my guest is Ellie Hino. We talk about her new album, Soft Bones, and she gives us a detailed bad idea regarding her birthing plan. We learn a lot about birthing plans and how important playing cards might be. It's a great episode. Here we go, Dumb Pitches.
What a bunch of dumb pitches. Oh my goodness.
Welcome to another episode of Dumb Pitches with Monica Nevi. I'm Monica Nevi, your host. This is the show where we talk to successful people about their worst ideas. So excited for our guest this week. Ellie Hino is here with me. Hello.
Hi, thank you for having me, Monica.
Yes, thanks for doing it. We do like to start with everyone's good ideas so that people don't think you've only had horrible ideas. We know each other because you're a hilarious stand-up from Minnesota. You live in Minnesota, and but you've done all these things. How long have you been doing stand-up? I feel like it's a considerable amount of time.
It's hard to say because I started when I was really young and then stopped for a long time and then came back. But I've been actually trying for 8 years.
Okay, yeah, that counts.
Yeah.
Then maybe some time served beforehand. But it's great. Okay, so you've done the Limestone Comedy Festival, Boston Women's in Comedy, which you were also Best of the Fest at 10,000 Laughs. You've opened for some of my favorite people, Maria Bamford, Dana Gould, lots of stuff. But really exciting going on now. You have an album coming out.
Yeah.
Is this your
It's
first
called
one?
Soft Bones.
Heck yeah. That's great. And then, okay, so tell us about that. What was, where is it out? Where can we find it?
Okay, so it is on pre-order right now. So you can pre-order it at iTunes. It's very important to us that you pre-order it because then we get this really cool screenshot that says #1 on iTunes when it actually comes.
There you
And
go.
that's kind of what we base all of our self-worth on. So
yes, so no pressure.
that's helpful.
Please
You
do
can
that
so you
now.
can find it on iTunes or just through the Blonde Medicine website. Blonde Medicine is the label. They're great.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it'll be out everywhere that you listen to comedy albums, April 5th.
Nice. Okay, well, that's perfect. So you got plenty of time to pre-order and then before it actually comes out, which is helpful. It is.
And you get a little instant gratification track now when you order, and then another one in a week and another one in a couple weeks. So you get a little extra.
You get a little taste, a little preview. Oh, that's exciting. That'll be fun. Okay, well, congratulations on doing that. I don't know if everybody... We talk about albums and specials and different stuff on here a lot, but I'm not sure if everyone... That's just a listener, not just a listener. That's rude. You're a person. I love you. Thank you so much for listening. That's a muggle, a non-com, understands how much work goes into doing an album. It's a lot of time and a lot of material that it can. I mean, my first one was 8. I was 8 years in, so I mean, it can really be a culmination of a lot of things, or it should be probably. But
yeah,
so it's a lot of work.
It feels like it's a little time capsule, and it's a nice way to archive all the work you've done and all the shows you've done for drink tickets and chicken nuggets,
Right, exactly. gotta get your iTunes screenshot for all that. Absolutely. Well, good. You deserve it. I'm excited for you. I hope you feel good about yourself because that's not why we're here. We're here.
It's very funny to me, though. I see comics posting that they're just I am so proud of this. I cannot wait for you to listen. And I'm just I don't know. I mean, let me know what you think.
I hope you like some of it. Yeah, you might. It'll be okay. That's funny. I feel. Well, that feels very Minnesota of you, but it also I'm like that too. It takes me a long time to be confident enough to just put. Some people we watch and you're like, why would you put that out? Aren't you embarrassed? But I don't think everybody else
now
is.
that you said that, I'm gonna just stew
no,
on
not
that.
you.
I'm
You clearly
oh, no.
taken enough time. Well, and I know you're funny, so that's not an issue. But some people, you know, 2 years in putting out albums, and it's just, you're going to be embarrassed about it later, I think. But not you. You'll be fine.
Definitely not me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about your bad ideas. So when I gave you some of the criteria, what bad ideas did you come up with?
Oh man, I mean, I have a couple. One is really short, but it popped into my head right away. It was a business idea that I had as a child.
Okay.
We had some pussy willows out front. Yeah, you know pussy willows, the trees. Do you know what they are?
I do.
They
Yeah,
have
and I
the
do.
little
You can't
soft
not laugh at that
nubbins.
for some reason, but yes, I definitely know what it is.
Yeah, they're so soft. And my mom like had me I would go clip some for her and bring them in. And she would make some little wreath or a little bouquet, or I don't know what she was doing with them. But I told her, Mom, someday when I grow up, we should start like a craft store together and we can call it Pat and Ellie's Pussy Shop.
And what was her response to that? I'm supportive.
I don't know. I only remember the story of it.
Did she tell that
she's
story?
A conservative woman.
Got it. She's like, maybe not. Well, that is such a. I ran into that issue, you know, starting a business with my child. No, I used to work at a Boys and Girls Club for a long time, and that word is really tough to because the innocence of a child doesn't know that it's bad, and that's the name of a tree or whatever, right? So you're like, but then you have to be like, no, we can't call it that, and they're like, why? And you're like, well, like, what are you supposed to say?
I
so
totally
like,
ran into that. Yeah, I work with kids too. I teach like theater classes to kids.
Hey,
and I had these girls and they were really into giving each other nicknames for the day, and they'd be like, call me Pussy Puss or whatever. And I was like, no, I'll just call you Emily, you know.
You're like, that not today. Yeah, because we're supposed to keep their innocence together as long as we can, I think. I don't know. And that would just be like
cats.
Yeah, exactly. We had a little one she would just say, I'm a pussycat all the time. And then she'd leave the cat off sometimes. And you're like, what do you tell her? She was like 7. Who knows? Who cares? But that's so, okay. Well, one, it sounds like it's kind of cute because you were proud of your mom's creativity here and wanted to be involved in it. And then wanted, you know, I would love to have a business with my mother.
And I wanted to express our sexuality. So,
I mean, here's the thing. Pretty good marketing, maybe, you know, like, I don't know if somebody sees that, you're like, well,
probably
I'm
one of my
check
better
it out
ideas.
At least. As far now, it's like, I mean,
I feel like me and Pat are a little old to start it now.
I mean, it might be the most appropriate time from a legal standpoint, but
that's true.
Maybe I don't know who's interested in it, but yeah.
What have I done?
Oh gosh.
I feel like this is an okay lead-in to one of my other bad ideas, which was when I had my son about 8 years ago. Women make like a birth plan. So it's kind of like a business plan. You write it up sometimes. I didn't write mine down, but I went in with like some pretty good ideas of like how I felt like this could go, and none of those worked, you know.
What, like, on your birth plan or a typical birth plan, like, what are you writing down? Like, what is part of it?
People will say like
have
what
a stepson,
kind of music they want and what kind of lighting they want and how they want it to go. And I was pretty chill about it. I was like, that's ridiculous. You don't get to pick all that. But I do remember like my water broke. It was like a month early. I'm sorry if this is a lot, but
no, this is great.
My water broke like a month early, and so we were running through the house like trying, because we hadn't packed like a go bag yet or anything.
I don't know why you said that, and I was like, you're gonna slip, don't run. Your water broke.
Oh.
Okay,
no, I wasn't gonna slip because I took a whole bathroom towel and I just folded it up and just shoved it into my leggings. That's how I waddled into the hospital.
That's amazing. That's innovative. That's
I'm
smart.
sorry. I'm laughing really loud into the microphone for those who
That's
are
okay.
listening in your little
Look, we're having a fun time.
earbuds.
We're good. We got
Terrible.
people in charge. Um,
Um,
okay,
but what
so
I
but the
did, I
problem is
yelled in the hallway,
right, okay.
don't forget the playing cards. Because
Wait, what were
I
those for?
had this idea that there's a lot of waiting, right? There's a lot of
Mm.
waiting when you have a baby, and people say like it's just it can have boring parts too. And so I was like, we'll play gin rummy to pass the time. I don't know why I'm like an 80-year-old having a
Yeah, I
child.
was like of all games, but sure, why not?
Yeah, I really thought we were gonna have time to play gin rummy.
You're
So
like,
we still
nurses, get
laugh
in on
about that.
this. Let's do that.
They were like,
That's in
no,
that
no, bitch, you're in labor.
I think, I mean, obviously, okay, so the birthing plan doesn't go exactly correct, mostly because the timing, you weren't quite prepared for it. That wasn't when you anticipated this happening. But of all the things to be so important, the playing cards, I mean, do you feel like I've never had a baby? However, my wife has, and she talks about there's a lot of surprise, basically. She was supposed to go in for a C-section, and then her water broke the morning before. So it was like a whole thing. So
Because
like
then when your water breaks, they're like, we got to get it out now. We have 24 hours or less. And you're like, what?
you're like, get the cards. We're not missing this part.
Time to play gin rummy.
You're like, I've been practicing that part. I've been practicing my gin rummy, but not my breathing. Okay, what other thing? Okay, so music, lighting. I don't understand what
It's
else. Like,
it's mostly about like whether or not you want drugs.
okay,
And I was like, I want to do it natural. And
okay,
I was like realistic. I was like cool about it. I was like, I didn't like write up a birth plan, but like I really want to try and do it natural. Um, but if I really need it, then we'll revisit. But
right,
then I was at like 1 centimeter, and you go to 10 before it's like go time.
yeah.
And I was at like 1 centimeter when I was like, give me the drugs, forget it all. Like then I was so early on when I asked for drugs that they like laughed at me. They were like,
Yeah.
that's silly. You're
Yeah.
being an absolute pussy.
I think I've heard a lot of women with similar stories where they wanted to do natural and that just couldn't make it work. I don't even know if I've ever met anybody who did the whole thing without any drugs. I know there are people who've done that, but I don't know anyone.
Oh yeah. And people who are just like, I just did it at my house. We just had a tub in the living.
Right.
Ooh,
I would be
talk
so
about
disappointed
slipping
as
around.
yeah. I would be so disappointed as the adult child of those people that were like, "Oh, what hospital were you born at?" And they're like, "Just my living room with my weird parents." I'm sure.
Oh
I'm sure
no,
it's a
for
nice
sure
thing,
though.
but yeah, I mean, not because I've asked my parents that story. I don't know why. I think just because it's something that everyone goes through is alive. Like you were birthed.
Yeah,
So what's the story?
it's
It could be
interesting.
crazy. Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, maybe you would be embarrassed to tell. Not. I'm not
It's
judging people who.
weird because it's like it's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you, but it is also the most universal shared experience.
Right. It's so. It
Like
feels
to
like.
me, it's like I cannot believe like this was the wildest, most traumatic, intense medical thing I've ever had happen.
Yeah.
And they're so casual about it because it's like so many
Everyone
people
does
have
it.
done it before you. They're just like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you've got it." And you're just like, "I don't think I do."
I mean, it is a crazy thing to do. I think
Yeah,
like not just like because you are, I mean, obviously you're growing a thing inside you. That's crazy, anything. But
right.
you're right. The amount of like hospital stuff that's going on. I mean, really, it's a procedure and a surgery and it's like all these things that otherwise you would hope to never do. or never need a surgery or something, you know?
Right.
And so it's like, it's a lot, and there's drugs and medicine and a lot of people involved, and you're
It's
nude
like
in
you
some
go
ways.
in for a surgery and then the doctor just like swings by and they're just like, why don't you give it a go on your own? And then if that doesn't work out, we'll come take care of it.
I'll come back. I'll come back in a bit and see how.
They just like
That
leave
is,
some tools. They're just like, you try.
yeah, let us know if you need to know how to use any of these things. That's funny. That's interesting with the birthing plan part of it, because you can't really, like, you obviously you can't control everything. And I'm sure you want to, and that, or be in more control than you are, because your body's doing something that's not, it hasn't done before probably, or, you know, whatever, or it's just weird and uncomfortable anyways. And then, but you're so invested in it. And then there's all these other people being like, not a big deal. Don't worry. So if you're like, I'm going to plan these things to make sure I'm comfortable, and then everyone else is like, why? Don't worry about that. You know, you're like, okay, I know
Yeah.
you've done this more times, but.
Like when I remember being in the maternity ward or whatever, like once we got onto the birthing floor or whatever and we had a room, they were like, why don't you go take a little walk around? And so I went, I could have played Rummy at that time,
You
probably,
could, you're
you
like,
know,
actually, I got plans here.
I got a gin and tonic back there and it's Rummy time.
I've been waiting
Um,
9 months for this. Yeah.
but like I was wandering the halls of the maternity ward and nurses are just like doing business as usual, but there is just screaming. Like it sounds like a torture chamber.
Oh, right. Because there's other people there. I don't know why I
They're just
imagined it was
having
just
babies.
yours.
They're just like,
You had a whole
ah!
floor to yourself. Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah, that's normal. Oh, I didn't even think about that as a nurse, that you would just be used to like hearing women scream all the time. You're like, oh, that's going fine. That's better than her making no noise, probably. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
not good. Yeah. Have you seen Baby Mama with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler?
I loved it.
When she goes into labor and is like screaming at everyone, and she's like, why won't you bitches help me? Like, I feel like that's what it, because they're just like, yeah, this is what you do. And she's like grabbing like tubes off the wall and shit. It's hilarious. But that's what I feel like, because there's so much going on for you and it's painful, and then everyone's like, nah, this is fine,
this is normal.
let's get your music on.
Yeah, it's kind of like
else,
how I feel on an airplane when I have like if I have a panic attack, which sometimes happens.
I do that all the time
because I hate flying. But like everyone's so normal, they're just having a regular day in the sky.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I just want to scream like, oh my god, you guys, we gotta get out of here.
Yeah, what is that? No, I have.
It seems like an emergency.
Yeah, I've flown a lot for ever, and I still hate it. And any like turbulence really bothers me. And I've had like, I don't know. So now I'll be having a panic attack on the plane, and I'm pretty, I think, outwardly calm. It's just kind of drawn back is what it looks like, I think, when I'm having a panic attack. Of course, that's not what it feels like, but
yeah,
I'm convinced now that everyone else is doing the same thing. Like they're silently panicking as well. Because I'm like, I'm sure I look fine, you know, but it is bumpy and stuff, and then you kind of see people like shifting a little bit, and I'm like, oh, you're freaking out too, aren't you? Probably.
Yeah. I'm very dialed in on other people's like body language like that.
Yeah.
Like especially the flight attendants. I like dial in on them, and I'm just like, if you make one nervous move,
yep,
I will freak out.
Yeah, I'm gonna be worried too. Oh God, yeah. I sat next to a pilot once, and it was like his dad was a pilot too, and he was a pilot, and they were commercial pilots and whatever. And so I was like, okay. He was very chatty. So I was like, if we're going to do this, then I'm going to at least ask you questions about it. And so I was like, talk me out of turbulence, basically, like make me feel better about it. And he would look out the window and see, like, he'd be like, that cloud's going to make us bump around. That one will be fine. Like he could see it before we got to it. And I've started to think about, yeah, not always, but yeah, it's just the air does some, I don't even know. He didn't explain that part of it, but he was just like,
see it.
Yeah, he was like, they're probably not even paying attention up there. I was like, well, that doesn't make me feel better. But he's like, it doesn't bother them at all. I was like, great. So I've started to think about it if I was on a bus and the road was rough.
Yeah.
Like that wouldn't really bother me. You know, if you're like bouncing around, like that wouldn't really bother me. So I tried to think about that, but it doesn't always work.
I try thinking
But
about that and then I fall asleep because it's
that's
like
good.
calming enough that I'm like, I'm on a bus. It's just a bus. And then I wake up and like remember I'm in the sky.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, that's and
terrifying.
I would sleep differently on a bus too. I'd be holding my things or whatever. I
Much
but
scarier.
there's something about, I mean, just the comparison of that, of people being, I think if someone on a plane started to freak out vocally, it would, I'm not sure it would make me feel I think it would make me feel better, maybe, of like, okay, this is
Totally.
freaking someone else out too. So I don't know if you walk into the maternity ward and hear screaming, if you're like, well, at least they're in pain too. Probably not. You're like, I don't want to do that. When am I going to do that? They'll be
No.
like, those are the natural births over there.
It was kind of hilarious to me. I was like, what? Like, I can't believe this is happening. I
That's
can't
such a,
believe this goes on every day.
I think that's the funniest part of this, is the nurses and doctors just being like not even phased by it, which I get it. Like, you get, yeah, you work with kids. I
And
mean, you
like,
get used to noises and sounds and stuff. You're like, oh yeah, that happens all the time, and it doesn't phase you. But that's like, I mean, literally screaming is probably the
and like
most
the
jarring part.
doctor isn't even around. Like, they just, a doctor might check in or they might just call your doctor. That's what happened for me, and I, like, went to a clinic. So you go to a clinic and you have, like, a doctor that you pick that you like. It's the one you're like, "Oh, this lovely person will deliver my child," or a midwife or whatever. But on the day, it's just whoever's working.
Oh,
Isn't that weird?
that is
So you,
weird.
like,
I never
have
thought,
and
I
you
heard
don't
that.
realize that's gonna happen. You, like, have it in your head that, like, that's your doctor and they're gonna
It's not
deliver your
part of my
baby. They
birthing
tell you it's
plan.
gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And then
That's
all of a
interesting.
sudden, someone else shows up, and I swear to God, she showed up just to catch they just come catch the baby, and a
And then
little
that's it.
check for 30 grand, like, comes out of your pussy. We're just like, "Thanks, have a good one."
Thanks. Bye. Oh my God. So that's, I mean, I've always felt like nurses do more than doctors. You
Oh
can
my
write it
god,
down.
yeah, they do the
But
whole thing.
definitely in that situation, yeah. I was at the dentist. I keep getting off track. I was at the dentist
Totally
the other
good.
day, just getting a cleaning, and the chick was cleaning it. The hygienist was cleaning my mouth. And then she left and came back and she was like, the doctor's like on lunch right now. And so it's going to be a little bit. Do you want to just go? And I was like, do I need to see him? Do you think I need to see? And she was like, no, I think you're fine. And I was like, okay. Like, I was like, why? Why is he here? I don't know. But I was like, I trust her. She's probably looking in people's
They
mouths
are
more than,
seriously yeah, they're the ones who come in, like, the least. They just come
yeah,
in and they're like, "May I touch your teeth?"
right.
They just yell
Look,
out a couple numbers.
looks good.
C
Yeah, exactly.
C4.
C4. But that feels okay.
Just so they can feel powerful.
Yeah. So I feel like the nurses in your situation did way more than the doctor. But
Oh, a lot. There was also an anesthesiologist who came in because I wanted
mm,
my
because you
drugs.
wanted your
A
drugs too
and
early.
and, it's a I can't think of what it's called, but it's an injection in your spine, right? So
Right.
it's
Oh, the
intense, like, it
epidural.
yeah, epidural, so it numbs you, like, from the chest down or whatever.
Oh,
But they
right.
have to,
Yeah.
like, give you a shot in your spine, which is very scary, and you have to sit there really still while they do that. That part's scary. Don't worry. If you're scared of needles, just stay with us. I'm done with that part. Never mind. Forget I said anything. But when that guy walked in the room, it was hilarious to me because I was like pretty naked. I don't. I think I had like taken off my gown or whatever because I'm like,
You're
I don't
just
know.
like,
I
get it
have a
out of
whole
me.
other person coming out of my body. Like, who cares at this
Yeah,
point?
do
I
whatever's gonna
wasn't.
make you feel comfortable.
It was just like my husband and a nurse, and no one else was around. I mean, what do you do? It's like the most primal thing I'm ever gonna do. So yeah,
Literally, yeah, yeah.
I was naked and and I was like, oh, I was rolling on like one of those exercise balls. I assume I hope they don't share those a lot. But anyway, I was rolling around on that and just like moaning, like ah. And then the anesthesiologist walks in and he goes, "Oh." oh, wow, I didn't know it was going to be like that in here. And I was like,
Hey,
what did you think it was going to be like?
right. I'm like, if
All
you do this all
right.
the time, that's good. That's good. This is great news, though, because it sounds like everybody else is like, oh, whatever. But you were unique enough where he will remember that that was different than other people doing stuff. Look for you. Yeah.
I was more dramatic. I was just
I
like a
like it. You just
toddler
being like,
who's going
fuck
to poop.
off.
I was like, I need my clothes off.
That's amazing. Okay. So then you get the epidural and it is chest down. That's crazy. That would be
And then it's fine.
really.
And then the
Then it
whole
does feel
thing's
you're like
fine. Then you
my
chill,
yeah.
and
You
then
chill
it's
until
time.
they catch it.
And when
That's
it's
it.
time, you push a baby up.
Was the pain totally gone at that point, or do you
Yeah,
still
you
feel
can
some of
feel
it?
like pressure, and that's it.
Wow,
It
that's
was
crazy.
weird.
So my wife was allergic to the anesthesia, and
And they didn't know.
no, and so her
Ooh.
throat started to close, and so she started like because she could move her arms, she started hitting her chest, and so they realized it and gave her Benadryl. So then she was like out of it for the whole, but it's just like she did have a
Well, at
C-section,
least
but
that worked.
it was,
See, it's crazy
they,
how many complications. Like, that's the other
right.
thing to me is
It's crazy
mine
that you're
was the
alive. Like it's
simplest one I've ever heard of. Like,
really.
my whole labor was like, I don't know, 6 hours. It was like
You're
quick
like, I
because they
was
gave
playing
me,
gin rummy. It was fine.
I played some rummy, got out of there,
Did
went
some
out for
drugs.
happy
It was
hour.
cool.
And it was like, it was quick because they gave me Pitocin, which makes it happen fast. So it was really
Oh.
fast and like there were no major complications. It just like all went perfectly. And it was still by far the most bonkers thing that has ever and I hope will ever happen to me, you know.
And didn't fit
And
the
then
birthing
other women
plan.
have like these crazy traumatic ones. They don't get to play rummy
Yeah.
either.
Yeah. They don't get to play rummy either. That's what I like. I would like to know what other things were on the list, but I'm glad that that was so important to you. That's hilarious.
Honestly, I don't think there was anything else.
You were like, get the playing cards. Anything else? No, I'm good. I think we're gonna
No,
be fine.
I just want to
I
chill.
think they got everything else there, That's
They have
that would be
snacks, right?
funny. Yeah, if they had just like a board game shelf like
Yeah.
at the hospital. There you go.
All I wanted. I also asked. So once I got the epidural, there was no pain, and then my husband like went to the cafeteria, and in the elevator he saw a friend of ours, another
Oh.
dad, and he was like, "Oh, Kate's having her baby right now too." So they were like, "Oh my God, we're here at the same time." And so I texted him when he came back up and told me that they were there, and they had already had their kid like the day before, and so they were just kind of
Uh,
sitting around, and it was their second kid, so they weren't freaking out. And I texted him just so casual because now I had an epidural and everything was
yeah,
normal.
you're like
And I was like, "Hey, Mikey, if you guys are just sitting around, pop by my room. I'm not in labor yet. Like, we're just waiting." And
I
then,
just want to
like,
come over and
15
play some
minutes
gin
later,
rummy.
well, yeah. And 15 minutes later, I sent a text that was like, "Never mind, pushing now." Like, don't
You're
come
like
in.
live tweeting. Oh, that's amazing.
He's like, "Hey, you guys doing board games in here?"
Did you bring the playing cards? We forgot ours. That's yeah. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, I really enjoyed this story. Okay, thank you so much for being here. Can you tell everyone where they can follow you if they want to come see you, and
Yeah.
where to find the album?
Yeah, you can find the album at blondemedicine.com or on iTunes for pre-order or yeah, blondemedicine.com is the best place to go for all of your options available everywhere April 5th. And I'm just at Ellie Hino for everything Hino. So you can follow me wherever you want. I even have a little old-timey website,
Yeah,
elliehino.com.
perfect. And just your name. Wow, wonderful.
It's lucky.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, do it. Go pre-order the album. Go follow all the stuff. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can subscribe here. Or if you're listening, wherever you're listening, you can rate and review and subscribe and all that stuff. We have YouTube memberships, whatever else. You know the deal. But right now, you can just keep watching Dumb Pitches.
You're weird.
Yes.